The Highway Life, based on a true story.
Coming along?
Mom said not to be taking a ride from no strangers.
This is the bus to the Highway Life.
I'm Bolo. Bolo Big.
I'm Joey Smalls. It's about to go down.
Hey, what is good, y'all? It's your boy Bolo Biggs. Welcome back to the Highway Life. If we got any new viewers, Biggs. Building a stealth RV skoolie conversion, whatever you want to call it. From the ground up, in detail, sharing with you guys my wins and losses and how to do things along the way. Now, take me very seriously when I say this, guys. This bad boy is going to be so stealth that I'm going to be able to park it in any schoolyard with the rest of the buses and nobody will see it. Fuck out of here with that stealth shit. Fucking shit's like 50 feet long and shit. Anyways, working on my walls today, putting the plywood up. Told you guys on the last episode I was going to give you a quick walkthrough on the floor, subfloor. The only area I didn't do was the front. More complex. I can't get the chair out. I got to run it down to Joyce's house, use the big boy compressor and air gun and pop it loose. But let's go. Here's my floor, my subfloor. Did the back two panels, the middle two, halfway to the front panels. Did my cuts, fill in my side gaps. I actually use Loctite spray foam on this, guys. It doesn't expand as much and it feels it tight and easier to work with. But that's that. So I've already done this side and I've already trimmed it down. Here's my front cab area that I was talking about as far as being complex. I gotta make an exception for that, for my corner, my wheel, my steps, the front area, my swoop, the chair, this frame here, and that section. And I gotta take the chair out so that I can do the pedal area. Few things I wanted to point out, guys. When I put this piece down, this was my tongue side, this was my groove side. This section here, this is my tongue side and this is my groove side, because it would have been harder to place my tongue down and then put my groove in because of the chair and the limited area that I could work with. Again, you want to put the tongue down first because the groove is easier to slide into. The other thing I wanted to point out, you see that red box there? That box is a precise measurement of where my fuel pump access is. You guys remember I framed it underneath it so that when I placed my plywood, it was already going to have the cutout. It's exact measurement, precise to I think an eighth to go over the framing, because I figured I'm never really gonna get into it unless there's a huge issue. Originally I was gonna do a cutout, but I thought about it. If I do a cutout and I have to place a cover over it, it's always gonna be loose and I didn't want to damage my floor. Worst case scenario being that I know where it's at, if I take apart my planks for my final floor, I can easily cut that with my jam saw or a circular saw to the depth that I need, and I'll clear everything, and then I'll worry about patching it up later. So why cut it just to patch it if I might not ever need to get to it? So the thing I wanted to point out with the tongue and groove, you're going to have seams that are slightly uneven, if you will, that you're going to have to hit with a sand belt or any palm sander to get it flush. That's just the way it is with tongue and groove. Not a big issue. I'll sand that down when I'm ready. It's not a big deal right now. This is the Loctite foam that I use on the side, guys. It's for windows and doors so that it doesn't push any of the wood or the windows out of placement. I'm gonna do my measurement for my wall. I believe it was 15 feet or 14 and a half feet. So what I've decided to do is use one board there and one board there, and I will connect it there together. So I think this piece here runs about 6.5 feet and that there runs about 7.5 feet. So I'll join it there. You want to join your two boards at a stud, guys. So when you fasten it, it has something in the back. Otherwise, it's not as strong, basically what it is. On this side, I'm just gonna take my heater down. That's the big boy I was talking about. This is originally from the bus. Great to have, great to keep. Just relocate yours. I mean, you can't get anything better than 30,000 BTU. The way the bus is built, if I wanted to heat, before I stop, turn it off, the bus is sealed, so I'm gonna hold a lot of heat in. I believe this section here runs about 11 feet or 10.5 feet. So I would join it right there where the two boards meet. Again, compensate for your wheel well. I did a template in advance. In advance, I went ahead and marked where my studs are. And I'll mark it on the floor also to see what the height of that is, so I don't miss it. I wanted to show you guys, you don't want to place this wall first before you do the sidewall. I'm never going to need to get into the sidewall, but I may need to replace or fix things on the rear wall. So if you place this board first and then place the sidewall, you're going to lock that piece in, and it's going to be a hell of a time trying to get it out. So what you want to do is place your sidewall first and then put your board. Hope that makes sense. You guys see that metal there? I shaved it a little too much, so I'm gonna address that before I put my board on. Anyways, you want to take your measurement from here to wherever you divide it, the top to where I divide it, but you also want to check yourself in the middle, that there to there, to see what that measurement is. Because on my door, being that this is a fabricated fiberglass back wall, I have a little bit of a slant because of this wall. I just want to double check myself, because you may have to cut that almost like a slight V in that corner. Forgot to share with you guys our camping experience. Obviously I took the bus. I wanted to test it out in normal conditions. It was extremely cold. The girls lined up, their sleeping bags on the floor, slumber party style. It kept the heat in really good. I think it got down to about 20-21 degrees. It was like 74, 75-ish in the bus, so they were very happy. I always knew I was going to put a partition in the front. The camping trip reinforced why I was doing it. We had to put up blankets in the front, kind of curtain style, to block off the front cab area, because obviously the windshield is going to take in a lot of the cold, the firewalls, the gaps. So definitely still going with the partition in the front where I can close it off, maybe sliding door. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. The other thing that I always knew I was going to do was address the doors. Being that it's metal, it's horrible for thermal transfer. Now while we were warm in the bus, I slept next to the door just so that Joey wouldn't be cold. We did put blankets up, but you can feel the temperature coming off the door being like ice cold. Like I said, I always knew I was going to address that, but it reinforced it. I want to point out something real quick. The door, it's obviously metal, and I wanted to insulate it. What I'm going to do is frame the door with maybe 2x2s, fill it with foam, and put a plyboard over it. Maybe insulate the outside of the board with I don't know, maybe like blanket type material or speaker box carpeting, like I did on the van. But I had already pre-compensated for all that, because you see my framing on the outside door all the way down. I have a lip of about 1/2 inch, because when I close the door, it'll end up sealing that. Basically, when I close the door, it's going to seal it, and I'm doing that with the handicap door also. I didn't point it out in advance because we weren't working on that yet, but that's something to think about. Your door is gonna keep a lot of cold and heat during the summer. Yeah. First board cut down to size. Now I'm just using my template to cut my little swoop there. driver side board in place. Want to show you guys over here real quick. Now, my trace for the wheel well is actually a good trace. The only problem is the fabrication that we did for the wheel well is sticking out further because of all the caulking. So what I'm gonna do is just trim that a little bit, and it should sit much better than that. Even if I can't get it perfectly, guys, it's not a big deal. I can fill it in with caulk or a spray foam. More likely, I'm just, when I frame my box for the wheel well to fill in with spray foam insulation, it's gonna hide all that anyway. It's gonna help with any sealing or anything like that, so not a big deal. But I'm pretty happy with that. Oh geez, I wanted to show you guys before I got too far ahead of myself. This section, if you guys see, I did a cutout there. All I'm doing is splitting the 2x4 so that when I place this board, I'll be able to anchor it here, there. But I also need an anchor here so that my board doesn't warp, and it'll also help seal it off a little bit. For that section I just mentioned, I could have used the entire board and just cut this section here out, but then it would be a wasted whole board. So all I'm gonna do is just use one of my scrap pieces to cut that part. Guys, all I was doing there was using my chalk line, chalk string. I had it at my mom's house when I was doing her patio, so I picked it up. All I'm doing there is just lining up where the middle of my stud is that I pre-marked, and then on the bottom. And all I'm doing is lining the two up, and I pop the string. All I've done there, guys, is just to mark where I need to drill my screws to. It's just convenient, really. And so I'm not putting holes all over the place. One of the reasons why I'm also using the chalk line is I want to place my screws pretty formal all the way throughout the bus, because I need to share that same stud when I put my bead board down. Otherwise, you're going to be hitting the heads of the screws that are behind the wall when you put the bead board down, and you'll just be hitting it. So be conscious of where you put your screws. Don't go crazy if you plan on sharing that same stud. That's what the wall looks like. I'm going to knock out the other 3 panels. Got the driver rear done. Driver front. I have not fastened it down, guys, because my wiring behind there for my signal, I have to figure out how I want to run that. Same thing up here with the passenger side. There's a signal there. Don't know what I'm gonna do yet. But yeah, here's the rear. Oh God, I'm so tired. Here's the rear passenger side, already fastened down. So probably tomorrow I will address my wires. I'm sorry, guys, I'm exhausted. Okay, so everything is running smoothly. Ooh, I could use a smoothie. Everything is progressing along nicely. Marcus is gonna meet me on Friday, this coming Friday, so that he can help me with the ceiling. Need 2 people. The boards, my tongue and groove boards along, but more so, he's gonna show me a really cool technique that he was talking about. When we placed the tongue and groove to hide the screws, I guess in between the tongue and the groove. Never done it that way before, but I thought it was a pretty cool idea. That's all I got. I hope you guys were able to find some good usage out of the video. If you guys ever wonder why I'm never looking at the cameras, because I'm constantly thinking. And that's the way I think. Plus the airplanes. Freaking airplanes. Alright, that's all I got, guys. Be good to each other. Your boy Big loves you. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Deuces. I missed it. No. Big's out. Oh, and thanks for watching.